Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the channel. I hope your day and your week have been going very well so far. This is Clash of the Titans, the video series here at Guy Boston Sports, where I go through each and every single ranked on ranked matchup throughout the entire college football season, giving you guys deeper insight, deeper analysis, but more importantly, more picks for each of these big time pivotal college football showdowns. In today's video, we are breaking down number 10 ranked LSU going on the road to take on number 17 ranked Vanderbilt in an SEC battle that promises to be a good one. And as always, guys, I've got some really great picks to go ahead and share with you. But first, as always, people, please make sure to go ahead and hit the subscribe button, hit that like button, and drop a comment down below. It helps the channel grow, and it really does mean a ton to us. This is one of five, count that, five Clash of the Titans videos coming out this week on the channel. A ton of good games in this Week 8 college football slate. So make sure, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already so you don't miss any of those videos, as well as our full Week 8 college football picks video dropping tomorrow morning. And last but not least, guys, make sure to comment down below who you think is going to win this big-time matchup between LSU and Vanderbilt. Comment the name of the team down below and let me know who you're riding with in this game. All right, guys, with all that said, let's go ahead and talk some football here. Again, number 10 ranked LSU, number 17 ranked Vanderbilt, 12 p.m. kickoff on Saturday. And for my first pick in this video, I have three picks, by the way. We have a spread pick, a total pick, and a player prop in today's video. My first pick is LSU on the spread here, plus 3.5 on the road. We'll jump over to the outlier screen to go ahead and break this pick down and give you the odds. I'm grabbing at best odds available to me over on FanDuel, minus 132. However, you can go ahead and shop around for the best sportsbook odds available to you, because although FanDuel is best for me, it may not be available to you. So make sure to go ahead and look around for the best sportsbook odds available to you, the people. Now, the actual spread for this game is 2.5 in the favor of Vanderbilt. I did add an extra point to the spread to make it a little bit more valuable to go ahead and back LSU in this spot. The line movement has been crazy. This line opened on October 12th, so this is the 16th, the day we're recording. So 4 days ago on Sunday, this line opened with LSU as a 1.5 point favorite in this spot. And now, as we fast forward to today, they are 2.5 point underdogs, and again, you can get it for plus 3.5 for minus 132. Very strong value. The public, the sharps, everybody has been hammering Vanderbilt and moving that line further into a Vanderbilt favorite. And I get it. Vanderbilt has been very impressive this year. They're 5-1 coming into this spot. Really strong offense, solid enough on defense. Not a great defensive team, but a good enough defensive team in the SEC. LSU, obviously, we know their struggles. Brian Kelly, they kind of had us duped, and then they played Ole Miss and they lost, and it's like, oh, typical LSU, typical Brian Kelly. And so coming into this scenario, I understand why the public might love Vanderbilt, especially at home. We know that LSU, not only have they struggled in the Brian Kelly era against ranked opponents, but especially against ranked opponents on the road. So it's a perfect storm. If you're an LSU hater, if you're a doubter in Brian Kelly, of which there are many, this is definitely a good reason to go ahead and fade them. I get it. That being said, the reason why I love LSU in this spot, first and foremost, is the spread. If you give me 3.5 points, that's the key number. Now, at 2.5, I'm a little bit more sketchy. I still like LSU in this game. I actually think LSU will win this game. But taking them at 3.5 point on the spread gives us a little bit of a safety cushion there in the event they do fall through and pull a typical Brian Kelly move, losing on the road against a ranked opponent. 3.5 is the key number. Now, it'll be interesting to go ahead and monitor as the days go along how this will affect. Maybe this becomes unbettable if it gets over minus 150 come Saturday morning. We'll see. But at the time of recording on Thursday, it looks pretty good to me at minus 132. Look, this Vanderbilt team, guys, is just not battle-tested enough for me. They've had one genuine, very good game, and that was their last time out against Bama. And guess what? They lost 30-14. Now, I know Bama scored late in that game, kind of made it, the score look a little bit worse than it actually was. The game was pretty close for the most part, but Bama did play better. They outplayed them, but more importantly, they stifled this Vanderbilt offense. And that's the thing with Vanderbilt this year, because if you're talking about their defense, like I said, their defense is fine. Specifically, their run defense obviously is very good. But overall, this is not a great defensive team. They're a good, not great team. On the defensive side, their strength, their calling card has been offensively. This is a top 10 scoring offense in college football. 5th in yards per play. All these great metrics. Then they played Alabama. They only scored 14 points, and the offense didn't look as impressive. And that was Alabama's defense, and that defense has some issues. Now you're playing LSU's defense, which actually is pretty damn good. Top 5 in the nation in scoring, top 50 against both the pass and the run in terms of yards per game, top 25 in yards per play, top 30 in turnovers, forced sacks, QB hits. There really isn't a metric besides maybe tackles for loss, as you see down below, where LSU's defense doesn't rank in the top 40 or so in the nation. And in a lot of metrics, they're top 25. So LSU, a really strong defense here. I would say they're at least at the level of Bama, if not better than Alabama's defense. And now, I know Vanderbilt, they had the bye week, they're at home. They definitely have advantages in this spot. But I just think that Vanderbilt's offensive numbers, some of those elevated numbers, are due to who they've played. And I'm not just pulling this out of my ass, guys. If you go ahead and look down below at the strength of schedule numbers here, strength of schedule, LSU tied 37th in the nation. Now, they haven't played, the hardest schedule in college football, but they played Ole Miss, which right now is a top 5 team in the country. They also played South Carolina. It's a common opponent between Vanderbilt and LSU. They played a Florida team that's not great, but stingy. A Clemson team, not great, but stingy. Both Florida and Clemson have a lot of great, some even NFL-level talent on their rosters. Again, not the toughest schedule in college football, but definitely a little bit more battle-tested than Vanderbilt, who, if you take the Bama game out of the equation, their best game is South Carolina, which, if you look at LSU, that's their second or third best game. Their schedule just isn't all that impressive. These games, 70 versus Georgia Southern, 55 versus Utah State. They scored a lot of big numbers on teams that weren't all that good. 44 versus Virginia Tech. The numbers look great, but they did against bad competition. Tied for 122nd in the nation in strength of schedule. Look at strength of victory. These teams both have the same record, by the way. LSU has 5 wins. Vanderbilt has 5 wins. LSU tied for 23rd in the nation in strength of victory. Vanderbilt 111th in the nation in strength of victory. I know about LSU's struggles. I know the whole Brian. Trust me, as a Notre Dame football fan, I know all about Brian Kelly on the road or against ranked teams or both. And I get that Vanderbilt has a strong offense and a decent defense. But I think that LSU is still a very good team. They're more battle-tested than Vanderbilt, and they do have a key advantage here to look at. Now, looking at the Vanderbilt offense versus LSU's defense, they don't really have an advantage in any spot. Vanderbilt, 46th in the nation in passing yards per game. Vanderbilt higher, 42nd in passing yards per game. Vanderbilt has been very good at running the football here, 23rd in the nation, averaging just shy of 209 rushing yards per game. Well, guess what? LSU, top 21 run defense in college football, only giving up somewhere in the ballpark of 102 rushing yards per game. They negate a bunch of the strengths that Vanderbilt's offense has. So that's the key thing. They have a really good offensive line. Well, this is a really good pass rush from LSU. So a lot of great numbers there. They have the defense to neutralize Vanderbilt's offense. It then comes down to, can LSU's offense make the plays against Vanderbilt's defense? And there is a key advantage here, and that is LSU's passing offense, which admittedly should be better. They have Garrett Nussmeier, who should be, and I still think is, one of the best quarterbacks in college football, with a great wide receiver room and a solid offensive line. Could be better. Again, everything could be better from a play standpoint, but they do have the talent on paper to go toe-to-toe with any defense, especially this Vanderbilt defense. Now, Vanderbilt very good against the run, but guess what? LSU's not really running the football much anyways, or not effectively, to be fair. But they have a key advantage there. Vanderbilt's pass defense leaves a lot to be desired. 69th in the nation in passing yards allowed per game, giving up 222 yards per game. And if you go ahead and look at the PFF grades for this matchup, Vanderbilt right now ranks 47th, according to PFF, in terms of their coverage grade, okay? So that's their pass defense against wide receivers. 47th graded defense in terms of coverage. Guess where LSU's passing offense, despite the fact that they've struggled a little bit, they have the 20th highest graded passing offense in college football. So there's a lot of different metrics to look at here, but this LSU passing offense, I know the numbers in terms of passing yards per game, as you see an outlier, they're still in the top 50. It could be better, but from a passing grade standpoint, they've been pretty good, top 20 in the nation. Vanderbilt's pass defense does rank a little bit higher than this number would suggest, but ultimately, I do think that's a huge advantage there. LSU's passing offense versus Vanderbilt's passing defense. That's the key to this game. If Garrett Nussmeier can make the necessary plays, they can go ahead and win this game, or at least keep within a field goal. I think LSU plus 3.5 is a gift. I think they win the game outright. A sprinkle on the money line, I wouldn't hate. But at plus 3.5, even if they do lose this game, is Vanderbilt really going to run away with this one? I don't think so. This is the safe play, the smart play. plus 3.5 for minus 132 over on FanDuel. And then piggybacking off that point, my second pick for this video is the LSU team total over 21.5 points, which I'm grabbing for minus 135 over on DraftKings. Now, to be very transparent, the numbers aren't great for LSU in terms of this total this year. They've cashed it in 2 of 6 games this year. I do like the actual over for this game. What concerns me a little bit is how much is Vanderbilt going to score here against this LSU defense. I know there's a clear advantage. Vanderbilt's rushing offense against LSU's rushing defense. But is it enough to go ahead and cash that general total? Not so sure, especially because Vanderbilt only had 14 points versus Bama. Are they going to be able to score much more than that against LSU, whose defense is comparable, might even be better than Bama's defense? Remains to be seen. I do think LSU team total over is a good play. They've hovered on the line in every game this year. 20 versus South Carolina, 19 versus Ole Miss, 20 versus Florida. These are some pretty good defensive teams, at least in the case of Ole Miss and Florida. And they missed this by a couple of points in each of those games. So I know they haven't cashed it a ton. They are averaging over 25 points per game this year. Obviously, those numbers inflated because they had this 56-point game here. But I do think LSU's offense, considering the matchup, considering the circumstances, 22 points is not that crazy. These teams played last season. LSU beat Vanderbilt 24-17. They had 24 points. I know it's different games, different year, different team, different circumstances. But going down below here, look at some of the teams that have played Vanderbilt this year. Bama lost. Now, they didn't cover, Bama won, excuse me. They didn't cover their team total over 32.5, but they did score 30 points in that game. So 30 points allowed to Alabama, 35 points allowed to Utah State, 21 allowed to Georgia Southern, 20 to Virginia Tech. They gave up their best defensive performance, 7 points versus South Carolina. But you do see a lot of these other games since September 6th, right? 30, 35, 21, 20. In that ballpark. You take the South Carolina game out of the equation, every other game over the last 4 or 5 weeks has been 20 points or more on this Vanderbilt defense. And again, we're talking about Virginia Tech offense, Georgia Southern offense, Utah State offense. LSU is better than all 3 of those teams. Bama scored 30. All we're asking for is 22 points to cash the over. I think LSU should definitely score 22 in this one for minus 135. It's good value here. Even 22.5. You want to go one up and get to 23. It's minus 125. Not a huge difference. To me, I just take the 21.5. Play a little safer for minus 135. We have one pick left in today's video, guys. We have a player prop to go ahead and share with you guys. But first, before we share that final pick, that player prop pick, I want to talk to you guys about the sponsor of today's video, Epic. Epic Fantasy is a new DFS fantasy app that is going to absolutely dominate the game. If you like player props, this is a great place to play. They offer better lines and better payouts than the competition out there. And that is just within their pick'em mode, in which you pick more or less based on player stats. The real unique thing about Epic is the fact you can actually go into the fade 'em section and fade other players' entries. Yes, that is correct. Even if they get one part of their entry wrong, you walk home with the bag. Go try Epic today. Use code GUYBOSTON, and they'll match your first deposit up to $50. Link down below in the description as well as in the pinned comment. Special thank you to Epic for sponsoring today's video. All right, guys, on our third and final pick in today's video, like I said, a player prop pick, and kind of going with the theme of our first 2 picks here. I'm going with Garrett Nussmeier over 1.5 touchdown passes in this game. It's a plus money play, plus 102. Over on DraftKings, best odds available to me. And similar to that LSU team total over, he's only cashed it in 2 of 6 games so far this year, that being just a 33% hit rate, averaging 1.5 touchdown passes per game. Now, he has cashed in 2 of his last 3, so getting a little better. He's thrown at least a touchdown in every game this season. They've obviously had some tough defensive matchups, Ole Miss, Florida, yes, and even Clemson early in the year before injuries. Pretty good defense. But again, it's all about matchup. First and foremost, let's look at the last couple games. Again, we need him to get two touchdown passes, and he cashes the over. Well, Ty Simpson, 2 touchdown passes. Bryson Barnes, the quarterback for Utah State, 3 touchdown passes. Lenore Sellers had none, and Kyron Drones had none. So not totally great numbers in that perspective. But again, the last 2 games, Ty Simpson had 2, Bryson Barnes had 3. Nussmeier is in that vicinity. He's definitely, I think he's better than Bryson Barnes, and he's at least close to the level of a Ty Simpson. So 2 touchdown passes really shouldn't be too crazy to get in this spot. And look at the matchup. Vanderbilt this year averaging 1.8 touchdown passes allowed per game this season. That ranks 106th in the nation. So it's a pretty favorable spot. As we talked about, Vanderbilt 47th according to PFF. And a coverage grade, they're 69th in the nation in passing yards allowed per game. Their pass defense is definitely the area where they're a little bit weaker defensively. I expect Garrett Nussmeier and this LSU team, who, by the way, don't have a running game to lean on, to definitely utilize their passing offense and put some points on the board with a couple of touchdowns here from Garrett Nussmeier. For plus money, you're getting great value on this play. All right, guys, that is it for me today in this video. Thank you very much, as always, for watching. One more time, please make sure to go ahead and hit the subscribe button, hit that like button, and drop a comment down below. Like I said in the start of the video, this is one of five. You heard that right. We have a ton of Clash of the Titans videos this week. There's so many great matchups. You don't want to miss any of those videos. So subscribe to the channel so you get notified and you get the alert whenever those videos post. Again, they'll be coming out throughout the next couple of days. I know we got a lot to get to from a video standpoint, so make sure to subscribe and tune in for a lot of great college football content coming over the next 48 hours. Until the next time, guys, hope you're all winners. Enjoy your week. Let's go ahead and make some money.